to support. I'm Autumn Benson, Bossy Babe brand, real entrepreneur turned coach. The Wealthy Babe podcast, courageous and spiritually marketing, craving wealth in every aspect of her life. Each week for authentic and unfiltered self and industry leader and give you all the juicy behind the scenes around business, spirituality, strong points of view, and doing shit differently. This is a safe space to come undone, be heard, and be given permission to rewrite your own damn rules. So here we go. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Babe podcast. Today, we have one of my incredible online friends up onto 37 weeks, but I'm 36 weeks this week. I know, so it's crazy. It's so much on this level. She's also an incredible podcast, so super. There's so much fun stuff that we have. Thank you so much, Carrie, for being
right now and how you feel.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's like if every single time something comes up and, you resist it, it's like you're just fighting against life. Like you're just fighting against it all the time, and you're always going to find a reason why it's not working out for you and why it's so exhausting and why can't it be you that has success, and because you're not open to seeing what it's actually providing you. You're focusing on what it's taking away.
There's nothing worse than the victim mindset, the why can't that be me mindset. Yeah. There's literally nothing more like self-limiting than that mindset. I 110% believe that.
Yeah, like it's up, it really comes down to like we either give ourselves our power or we give our power away, but nobody else can take our power away other than us. Like we choose to give it away when we sit in these spaces and we focus on it. Like, I mean, let's be real. We all have fear. It's going to come up. I think fearlessness is bullshit. I don't think that it exists. I think that every single person at some way, shape, or form does experience it, but it's about moving through it. It's about being courageous through it. It's about just being able to see what opens up for it and then still recognize your power. Like you can recognize, okay, this fear exists. I see you. Hello. Like, what's up? I feel you. I get it. You're here to protect me. However, like I can choose again. Like you can take your power back at any single moment. And I think that's such an important freaking lesson. I love this so much.
I agree. And I think it's important, like you said, to feel the fear, like recognize that it exists and then be like, okay, now how can I shift this from fear to excitement? Like, how can I challenge myself to like have a different look on this? Because I know that I'm doing what my heart is being pulled to do. Like, how can I shift my mindset from fear-based to more excitement-based? Because I think when you start to make that shift from fear to excitement, everything gets easier. Like everything is more fun. Everything gets easier. And it's easier to make hard decisions from a place of excitement than it is from fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Can we quote that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Write it down. Send me a picture on Instagram. Tag me.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. I love it. So something you're really passionate about, and this was something you mentioned about what you did with Amanda, was that you really began to set up your business to support you versus drain you. Yes. So how did you begin to do that?
I think the first step is boundaries. Like I needed to realize what I wanted in my life and because everyone's different, like every single person. And I was different. I was different when I first started my business to where I am now. When I first started my business, I was getting ready to travel Europe for 4 months. Full time with my boyfriend and my dog, and I was going to bring a photographer along with me, and I was getting ready to do all these like big things. And that's at the time what I wanted my business to support my lifestyle. I wanted my business to be there to support me while I made this journey across Europe and did all these really cool things and experienced them. And now, not even 6 months later, I am running my business from a place that's going to help me support a family, that's going to help give me time and energy to provide for a daughter, to, spend time with my boyfriend at home, to allow my body to heal. Like every point in your life, your boundaries are going to be there for a different reason, and they're going to exist differently. But your main focus is pretty much stay the same. For me, freedom of time and energy are the two most important things that I have. And when I was in my health and fitness business, I wasn't honoring either of those. I was working 60 hours a week. Why would we work 60 hours a week for ourselves if we won't work 60 hours a week for someone else? That like completely gets rid of the whole entrepreneur lifestyle that we're kind of dreaming of, and my energy was so just like basically non-existent because I didn't have the time to take care of myself. So something that I really needed to do when I wanted to come back into like an entrepreneur type business was, how can I make sure that I set my rules in business? Because everyone gets to set their own rules for their own business. How can I set my rules in business to reflect what I want my life to look like? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because everyone's life looks different. So you are going to set rules for your own life, whether you're a mom or whether you're single and you want to like go out at night and then you want to sleep in and not start work until noon. Like that's totally fine. Like everyone has different rules for their own business.
Yeah. So then kind of how does that look a little bit, when it comes to setting also pricing and setting up like how you structure your business and, the things you're saying no to, so you can say yes to the other things. Like what does that kind of look like?
So for me, I like took things really like step by step in the beginning. And I was like, okay, like what are my main priorities? Like how can I make sure I'm giving enough of myself to each different area of life? And I think when it comes to pricing, this is something that I talk to my clients a lot about. It goes to depend on both making you and the client happy, right? Like if it's you focused, if your pricing is you focused, it's going to be priced too high. If your like product is client focused, it's going to be priced too low for you. Like you have to find to meet in the middle where both obviously you and the client are happy. And so for me, I knew that with the energy expenditure that I wanted, the time I wanted to spend, and the amount of clients that I wanted to work on really hands-on, I could absolutely fucking not ever sell something for $150 a month ever again. Like I was like, no, like I refuse to let myself do that. And so I think with pricing comes like honoring your boundaries but also like honoring the amount of effort that you're giving to the program, because I'm not a coach that's going to be like, you have to charge this for this. Like, I don't believe in like telling my like clients what to charge for their thing, because they know how much energetically they're giving for each product. Like, how much energetically you're going to show up for them. And in respect of that, you need to be obviously like reimbursed. Right. And so I think that as far as pricing goes, that's really what needs to be taken into consideration. Like, how like much energetically are you giving away? Because that's all money is energy that you're getting back. Right. And so I think that that's like one of the most important questions to ask, because let's say if you're a business coach and you're giving them all access Voxer to you, right? Like, and they're going to use it because they're your clients and they want to help, right?
They do.
Don't ever think people aren't going to use it, because they will. You know what I mean? You're opening yourself up to a ton. Like, I only give Voxer access to my one-on-one clients because they're paying like energetically with money for my time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of times in the beginning, people are like, yeah, well, I want to over deliver. And I think over delivering is fantastic. We should all over deliver for our clients. However, I think there's a fine line between like over delivering and fear-based delivering, because a lot of times people will fear-based deliver and be like, well, even though they're only paying me $50 a month, I'm going to give them everything because that's what's going to make them want to buy from me more.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
Yes. Can we preach this for a second?
Yeah. So I think that that's something that I try to reiterate with my clients is like over delivering is awesome, and giving them a little bit more than what they're asking for to make sure they're super satisfied and super happy. And a lot of times we could just give them, because we're already super excited about the packages we're offering. They're already going to love us. Right. So then I think that when we come from a place of fear-based, we're like, well, what if this? Well, what if they're not happy? And we're like projecting our own self-consciousness and like our own fears onto the client, that they're just like, oh my God, well, I'm getting all this stuff, I'm not going to complain. Like, your clients aren't going to tell you you're giving them too much ever. So it's something you really have to just be like aware of, and being like, okay, like if I'm giving this client all of these things, like access to all my courses and Voxer coaching and, a 60-minute coaching call per week, like I need to be able to energetically charge for that. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely have seen this come up recently with some of my clients that are starting for the first time, charging for their time, charging for their energy, charging for their worth and their expertise, and really stepping into the space and being like, well, this is great and all, but like, you have all these additional things, like you have all these other things that you can offer. So like, it's not just enough on my own to charge this for my package and then not have all these extra things. Like I need to have this, and I need to have this, and I need to have this whole other thing created. And I'm like, girlfriend, like absolutely not. Like I have these things because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it for a period of time. I didn't have this when I first started. And it does come down to this fear, right, that you're not enough on your own, or that, what you have to give ultimately isn't going to be enough for your clients. It's not going to create the transformation that they want. or that they need or that they're looking for. And that, again, it's just coming down to this fear, like you said. So I love that you touched on that and you talked about that, because I think it's such an important, I think it's important regardless of if it's pricing, if it's your business, if it's launching, if it's creation of programs, if it's taking on a decision, choosing to do something, choosing not to do something, letting something, it literally doesn't matter what it is. If your decisions are based around fear and it's coming from a space of lack, it's coming from a space of scarcity, it's not enough, then it's never going to feel in alignment, and it's always going to be never enough. But if you're coming from this beautiful place of power and abundance and knowing that you're enough as you are and what you have to offer is enough as you are, and just looking at what it is that's provided to everybody involved, like that is such a much more powerful place to come from, where both of you win. Like you can't lose in that space.
And I think it's really important too, because I work with a lot of health and fitness coaches, obviously, because that's what my like previous background is.
Yeah.
And a lot of them will come to me and be like, well, what's the difference? Like, why would someone hire me if I'm charging so much more, but giving the same exact thing? And I'm like, number one, you're not giving the same thing. And bitch, like you can charge that much because the power is you. Like you are what they're buying. And like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to like knock your clients and be like, sit down for a second and let me tell you, because you are the power. Like you are the magic. Not anything that you offer is more special or more powerful than you. And when people are buying coaching, they're buying an experience. There's so much free information out there on the internet, like so much. Like people don't need help finding information.
No.
In today's day and age, that's not what they need help with. They need help with accountability, and they want an experience that they are going to enjoy with working with someone. They want, like, for example, with health and fitness coaching, right? Like people diet on their own all the time. It's just miserable. It's hard and miserable. So people want to hire a coach because it makes the process more enjoyable, because they have someone to talk to who they can relate to. You know what I mean? They have accountability. And I think that those things are those are the reasons why people buy. They buy from you because they relate to you specifically. It's not that you are the most knowledgeable, or you are the most this, or you have the most that, or you have the lowest prices. Like all of those things do play a role, a tiny, tiny role, right, in the circle of why people buy. But most of the time, like it's you. Every coach that I've ever hired and every, client that has come to me has said, I am something, like, right? Like we are the person that makes them want to buy. It's not what we're offering. And it's the same with the coaches I've hired. I've hired coaches because of who they are. Like obviously their success matters and like what they're going to give me matters, but the end final decision came down to who they were, the person itself,
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I teach the same thing. It does not come down to your offers. It does not come down to, what you have to give. It comes down to your energy. Like it comes down to the container that you're bringing these other women into with you, and your clients, your customers. It's who are they going to become by working with you? Who do they see themselves capable of shifting into by being in your space and in this container that you've created? This is like, that is 100% number one, the reason why people buy. The other things matter, but at the end of the day, I truly believe if it comes down to price, well, it's not about price. It's not about money. It's not about these things. It's a lot about, their fear of success, their fear of who they can be on the other side of it. They're fearful of, it actually all working out. There's so many other things that it comes down to. But I couldn't agree more. It's all about energy. It's really not about the things that you're offering at the end of the day.
Yeah, you are the magic.
That's
how it works with coaching.
You are the motherfucking magic. I am obsessed with that. Oh my God, we have so many quotes we need to make. Okay, so now we talked a little bit about at the beginning how you are about to be a mama. And the crazy thing is that what I love about this is that we've had two totally different experiences. I've been very blessed through this experience, and other than the first 3 months where it was extremely hard and it was very difficult and there was a lot of nausea, and I remember sitting on client calls and I'm like swallowing back puke and I'm like, just give me a second, just 1 minute, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay, I'm fine, just we'll keep going and I'm okay. And it was hard. Like that first 3 months was extremely difficult, but then I went to Florida. I went away. I went to Tony Robbins. I got my whole branding shoot. Like everything started to shift from that point on. And it's been I'm pretty grateful that it's been pretty smooth sailing. I've had a lot of energy. I've been able to show up really strong, but that's not the case for every single woman. And that's not the case for every single pregnant woman. And so sometimes I struggle a little bit because I tell this story And I'm like doing all of the things and taking it on, running masterminds until like literally my due date. And I'm you know, I'm doing all the things, working all these clients, and that's amazing because my body has allowed me to. But there are so many other women where their bodies do not allow them to do that. And I don't ever want it to feel like something is wrong with them or they should be able to do more and show up differently because I have. Like, that's just because it's what my body and what this journey has allowed me to do. That was not something that, you know, I necessarily planned. I mean, no one can plan this. I'm sure if you planned it, you'd be like, I'd be writing a totally different story around what this would look like for me. But I'm curious about, because we have had such a different experience and you have had a little bit more struggles with your health and with nausea and sickness and being able to show up that way. So what does it look like for you in building a business and building a baby?
Yeah. So, it's fucking hard. Like, I'm just going to put that out there, that I never realized how hard it was going to be at all until it happened. And we actually found out that I was pregnant in Italy. This baby is made in Italy. Her name is Italian, and we're getting her a little onesie for her to come home from the hospital in that says made in Italy. It's going to be the cutest thing I've ever seen. But so it came as a surprise. It was not planned. And I was so sick up until probably 2 weeks ago, up until like 25 weeks. But I feel really, really blessed with my boyfriend. My support system is everything. He's so amazing. He wasn't an entrepreneur before. He actually worked for Monster Energy as like a salesperson. And it's like a really cool job. And he's so smart and so intelligent and stuff like that. But he wasn't really an entrepreneur. And so he kind of had to help. He had to make a shift, and then he was helping me make a shift too when it was going on, because he wasn't working when we were traveling. It was just me providing only with my business. And he was just like, he had to remind me sometimes and be like, you created this business to support you in every aspect of your life. And so what changes do you need to make to allow your business to support you in this time where you need rest? And so that's basically what I was doing, is I was like, it's okay to take a break in business. Like, you don't have to be launching things 24/7. Like, you don't have to, be go, go, go. And I think it's really, really like popular in today's day and age to be like, the hustle mentality is so real. And like Gary Vee, and like, I just don't energetically really align with him, but like, he's always like, go, go, go. And like, you have to be hustling if you want to be number one. And I don't believe that to be true. I'm in this for the long game, not the short game. And so for me, when I was getting so sick, I needed to let my business just support me. And so I was still getting clients. I wasn't showing up as much, but I was still getting clients, and I was still like maintaining the clients that I had, and they were still all super happy with like the packages that they were getting, and everyone was still really happy. But I had to like take a step back and be like, I don't need to kill myself like while trying to make this baby. Like, my business will support me if I allow it to. And so I just had to kind of reframe that mindset and be like, now is a time for my business to support me in this period of just healing and resting and like doing something a little bit different, rather than being like, I need to fight my body. Like, my business has to be my number one priority all the time, because that's not true. And that's not the way that my rules are set up in my business. I needed to take a step back and be like, I need to put myself first and my health first and my happiness like first, versus, making sure that my business is hitting new numbers every month, or making sure I'm growing my following every month, and stuff like that just took a back seat. I was still supporting the audience that I had, but I wasn't like out there actively trying to grow. I was okay just cruising, because that's what I needed to do to support myself. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So what does this look like on a daily, like for the women that that are maybe listening to this and be like, okay, I love this. Like, this is what I need to hear right now. Now, what does this look like for me? Like, how would they be able to shift into this space? What does it kind of look like on a day-to-day basis? Like, are you, I'm sure you're probably spending a lot more time resting. What does it look like in regards to clients, or, taking on certain people, being able to release them? I'm just kind of curious on what it looks like for you, being able to still run such a successful business, but still being able to take care of you the way that, you are and need to.
So I basically shifted into this like maintenance mode is what I like to call it when people talk to me about it. Like, I was just like maintaining what I had already kind of created. I was still kind of like, honestly, I was still posting content on Facebook, but on Instagram, I don't think I posted for a month at one point while I was traveling, because traveling was so fucking hard while pregnant. I will never do that again. It was a good experience. And I'm glad I didn't like just quit and pack up and come home, because it was so worth it to see the countries and all the things like that and like have those experiences. But I will never do that again. And so it was just like really, really hard. So I stopped showing up places that weren't filling up my cup. To me, Instagram is very, very draining. It's just a platform that I don't 100% really enjoy. I'd much rather enjoy Facebook. And so I was like, okay, well, if I need to kind of give myself some energy back, what can I cut out that's kind of taking that away from me? You know what I mean? And I don't really get energy back from Instagram itself, like regular posts. I love Instagram stories. I think that's a really cool way to connect, and I would still show up there. But like, as far as the Instagram post itself, it was one of those things that was just draining, and I would like just get in my head too much about it. And so I just took it away, and I was like, I don't need to do that. Like, my business will be fine. Instagram isn't, you know what I mean, my end all be all, right? And so I would kind of take platforms and different tasks away that were just kind of causing me more stress. It's the same with like, I didn't launch anything new. I just had one-on-one coaching, and that's it. And I wasn't out promoting discovery calls. Like, I wasn't out, energetically like giving away all of my energy. I was just serving the community that I already had in a way that was still powerful, but definitely like time conserving and energy conserving. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So did you find that your income kind of like it's cruising with you, or do you find that you were able to still increase it?
It was cruising at first. And then I think in my 4th month of pregnancy, I think June or July, I actually had my biggest, I had a 21K month, and I had my biggest month in business yet. And I was like 4 or 5 months pregnant. And it was just after I came home from that trip. And I was just like, it was just proof like that, like the people that are for you are coming for you. You know what I mean? Like they're already there. And like, you don't like need to necessarily go out and search and like stress yourself out, when you're coming from a place. Like, I was coming from a place serving my audience where I was healing and I was resting, but I was also still happy and like excited to show up for them how I was showing up. Because if I had tried to do all of this extra things and show up for all of these other people in all of these other places, I would have been showing up at like a 2 out of 10 versus pulling back the reins and showing up at a 10 out of 10 every time I did. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that's a beautiful reminder, and this is what a lot of women need to hear. Whether you're pregnant or you're just going through something with your health, or, a season of your life that, maybe you're experiencing loss or just like hardships or, changes in relationships. Like, we all go through these times in our lives. And I think that a lot of the time we think that we have to do more and show up stronger. And there's also nothing wrong with doing more if that feels aligned and good for you. But if you are in a season where you're like, I can't show up the way that I want to, this doesn't feel good to me, this isn't serving me, you get to choose again. Like, you get to say, this can be easy. I can still make more and do less. Like, you can redefine your rules and what this looks like for you. So I think this is really powerful information and super necessary and important for these women, because, like you said, in a world of Gary V's, we need to remind ourselves that there's another way you can do business. And it can be individual to you and authentic to you. And it doesn't have to feel really hard. It doesn't have to feel really strained. And it doesn't have to feel like it's literally swallowing you up freaking whole.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really important thing. Like, if you're sitting in your business and you're so frustrated and you're feeling so drained and you're doing all the things, I challenge you to take a step back. Like, I think that at that point, like, it's really, really beneficial to take a step back and just cut it down. And because a lot of times we have that fear, right? That if I'm not doing all of these things, then it's going to get even smaller, right? But a lot of times you're just not showing up as powerfully as you could be if you show up 10 out of 10 in 2 places, but if you show up 2 out of 10 in 5 places, where are you most likely to find clients? In those 2 places at 10 out of 10 versus 5 places at 2 out of 10. Like, no one needs a watered down version of you. You're not helping anyone. You're not serving yourself. You're not serving your clients. You're not serving your audience. Like, you can't show up that way and expect people to be super magnetized to you. That's just not how life works. So it's way more beneficial for you to show up as like the most badass, powerful version of yourself in 2 places than a watered down version of yourself in 5.
I love that. That is so beautiful. So do you have any final advice for any mamas or any women who just want to run a business that feels really authentic for them?
Yeah. I think take some time. My biggest advice really is take some time to recognize the season of life that you're in. How can this business support you? And set rules for your business based on those two things and those two things alone. Really knock out the comparisonitis. Really don't look at other people and try to emulate them. Like really take a second to be like, what do I want this business for? Like, what's my why? Like, what is it going to provide me? Like, just really like, I think it's really important in the beginning to take some like self time, to take some you time and be like, why am I really doing this? And how can this help me the most? Because the last thing that you want to do as a mom, right, when you're becoming an entrepreneur is take more time away from your kids. Like you, whether you're already working a 9 to 5 or you're a stay-at-home mom, like you don't want to have a business that's going to like rip everything away from you. You know what I mean? Like, again, you want a business that's going to support you. So I think it's just really important to like set your own rules. And this is something that I tell my clients all the time, and it's a big part of my business, is the true entrepreneur lifestyle looks different to each and every person based on what season of life you're in. And to have that true entrepreneur lifestyle, whatever it looks like to you, you need to set those boundaries and rules for yourself and play by them. Like you don't need to play by anyone else's rules but your own.
I'm obsessed. This is so good. This is so juicy. So we basically made it. We are there. But I have one final question that I always end this off with. So the question is, what does being a wealthy babe essentially mean to you?
In my opinion, I think being wealthy is kind of redefined as what, most people think of wealthy as money. I don't think of wealth as monetary at all. Wealth of time and energy and space and freedom. Like those are like, the wealth. Like that's what I feel like. Those are the things that I can celebrate the wealth in life. And so that's what being wealthy means to me. Like being wealthy just means being in a position in my life where I'm full. That's all. Just full.
I love that so much. And I think that's so important. And even just touching on what you just said beforehand is you have to look at what life you want. You have to look at the type of life you want to live, the type of life you want to create, what you want to wake up to every single day, because you can be an entrepreneur and be miserable. You can work for somebody else and be miserable. Like you have to set up your business to fit the life that you want. And you have to kind of reverse engineer it and figure it out, backwards going into what it is that you ultimately want, because whatever you start doing now is creating a foundation for what it is that you're going to do later. So if you try to take on everything right now, when you hit those high figure months, there's only more that's going to jump onto your plate. You're not going to be able to just take it off as easily at that point. You kind of got to set it up now and just kind of create and give yourself permission to make your business look however you want it to look for where it is that you want to be. So this was so good. This was so juicy. I feel like this is really a lesson and a message that all of these women that are listening needed to hear. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for sharing your brilliance and your energy and just being here, because I know you're not having the easiest of days, but you are rocking it like a boss and you are showing up so strong. And I'm just so excited for what's to come for you. And to see this little girl come into the world, I cannot even freaking wait.
Oh, I can't wait for yours too. Well, somehow if you could just come down from Canada, then we can have a little play day with the girls, because that would be so cute.
Where are you again?
I live in Henderson, which is like by Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm sure you've heard of Vegas.
I have heard of Vegas. I have never actually been to Vegas.
Oh, well, you should come.
I have literally never been, and that's probably like a fun fact about me. I've never been to Vegas, but we'll have to make a trip. When baby gets here, we will have to make a trip and come down to Vegas. And
and then also they'll both be born, so we'll be able to actually have a drink. So that'll be nice too.
Well, and what's fun is I feel like we have it's like we're all gonna have these like little virtual baby hangouts. Like
I know,
right? Like all of our babies gonna have like virtual friends before they even realize like what the internet even is.
But they're starting out strong. Starting out strong. I love this so much. So where can our listeners connect further with you now that they're obsessed with you and love the shit out of you? I'm on most platforms. So like Instagram, it's just Carrie Brady. Facebook, you can find me just like Carrie Brady Coaching, I think it is. And then I have a free Facebook group called Breakout and Bloom Community. It's just like a super high vibe place where we talk about, seasons of life and blooming through them. and, you know, breaking out of our barriers, that kind of stuff. So those are kind of the two most common places that I'm showing up these days.
I love it. That is amazing. So I will put all that in the show notes, and you guys can go find her and follow her and go love on her and get in her energy. But other than that, you guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode. And as always, please, you know, share some love, post on your Instagram stories, tag us in it so then we can share it for you and give you some love and recognition just for being able to show up for yourself and say yes to yourself and listen to this and just being in our energy. So anyways, you guys, love you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.